Welcome to the Studio Chat podcast. My name is Barbara Thompson. Each week, I'll be bringing you a self-care expert or a message to help you to discover how to live your best life and understand your mind-body connection. Thanks for spending some time with me today. Now, let the Studio Chat begin. Welcome to the Studio Chat podcast. Today, my guest is Kasey. Kasey is the owner of Laser Cosmetica in Wollongong with 18 years experience as a facialist and laser therapist. Kasey has been offering her clientele world-class laser treatments since the technology first came to Sydney's luxury spas more than 15 years ago. As a skin health expert, she has enjoyed an international career at renowned dermatology clinics and has worked alongside sought-after cosmetic surgeons, both in Australia and abroad. That's one of the reasons why I've got her on my podcast today. Kasey embraces a holistic approach to skin therapies, the strong link between gut health and a glowing complexion, as well as the vital role the lymphatic system plays in the skin's overall well-being, are key aspects of her signature treatments. So in order to achieve optimal, long-lasting outcomes, Kasey works closely with leading professionals in naturopathy to ensure that her bespoke skincare solutions are powerfully supported from within. I've invited the beautiful Kasey onto my podcast today as we chat about skin health. There is just so much out there and it can be really overwhelming, expensive, and so much misinformation. And a lot of people can overpromise and underdeliver. And I know many ladies who have been let down or who have had unpleasant experiences. I really love Kasey's approach and the fact that she's always on the lookout for new treatments and has incredible before and afters. And it's all about self-care and making sure you feel comfortable, seen, and heard in her clinic. She's also featured in Who magazine and Aesthetic Medical Practitioner magazine. Thank you so much, Kasey, for taking some time out of your busy day to chat with me today. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me.
I just love you to share with my listeners a bit about who you are.
My name is Kasey. I'm 35 years old and a mother of two. I absolutely love and breathe everything skin and laser. So I've had my clinic now for close to 11 years. Things are going really well. I really like to put effort back into the business in regards to having the best machinery for my clients to obtain the best results. In clinic, we do a lot of variety of treatment. So whether it be skin related or hair related, we do have multiple devices to treat multiple things.
That's amazing. Where did your love for skincare come from?
Well, I actually left high school before year 10. I didn't even finish high school, which is pretty shocking to some people. But it just wasn't my vibe. It just was not my thing. I always knew that I wanted my own business. I wanted an apprenticeship in either hair or beauty so bad. So I did the crazy thing of leaving. Well, at the time, everyone thought I was crazy. I copped a lot of flack from friends' parents, friends, family members. Are you sure you're doing the right thing? You're going to be leaving school. You don't have a job yet. And I was like, yep, no, I'm doing it. And so I left. I did my apprenticeship in beauty I started when I was 15, and I've never looked back. I always had this urge to want to help people and make people feel beautiful. And here we are many, many years later.
And that's a beautiful thing, is that shows to me that you're listening to, at a very young age, you knew who you were and you were listening to your gut. Like you were, at that age, it's really hard to, you want everyone to like you, and you want, especially people's parents and stuff, you want authoritative figures to be like, yes, you are doing the right thing. And you actually went against that.
I totally went against that. Yes. So I look back and I think, wow, I was actually super brave to do that. Like, that's a huge thing. My daughter will be 10 in January, and that's her in 5 years, like coming to me saying, Mum, I'm leaving school and I'm going to do this and this is what I want to do. I don't know how I would take it. And I've been there and done that. Obviously, I would support her, but it was such a huge thing to do. Again, back then, it was really, well, it wasn't really easy to get an apprenticeship, but you had to do the beauty apprenticeship, which was at TAFE and then also in salon, where now you can do beauty online and learn within a year. And there's so many different ways to do it, which I don't think is the best way. But apprenticeship was old school. It was hard work. We worked for pennies, but I wouldn't change it for the world. I did experience quite a few really hard employment problems when I was an apprentice. But then I found my feet with a beautiful lady named Margaret. And I honestly think if it wasn't for her, I probably wouldn't be here today. There was a few occasions where I was like, fuck it, this is way too hard. These people treat you like absolute shit. And yeah.
Are you meaning the people that you worked for or the people that you were treating? Or
no, the people that I worked for. I had one of my bosses throw a wax spatula at me in front of a client. And she was just the most horrible person and boss. And I look back at that and I think, wow, how could you be such a horrible human? You're meant to be mentoring me and bringing out the best in me. And here you are throwing a spatula at me in front of your client. It was a wild time. It was an absolute wild time, but I stuck it out. I left her, I got another job and then stuck it out with another crazy lady, left her. Then that's when I found Margaret. And, if it wasn't for her, she was incredible. She dedicated so much time to her staff and training. And yeah, it was awesome.
And I think everything that you've just explained, you as a business owner, myself, I don't know, you're a business owner. It's so interesting because you think, I'm going to own a business. It's going to be great. I'm going to do things my way. 100%. Let's just acknowledge that. But then there's the other way that I saw you post the other day, like, I love being a business owner, but holy crap, there's all this other admin and follow up. And because I'm a client of yours too. And because I see through your business and through your staff and through everything, the products that you carry, you have your values and your beliefs that are part of you that run through your business. And so as a business owner, when you run your business at that high level, you can't switch off and you are always looking for different ways and you're always, so it is a bittersweet when you're a business owner. And I think that grit and determination has come from, it's a beautiful thing for anyone listening at the moment, whether you're in your teens, 20s, my age in my 40s or whatever. It's beautiful for women to know that if they feel they want to do something, you've just shown to them. Doesn't matter what everyone else says. And I know at my age, when I was 15 or 16, hairdressers and beauticians, it was an industry
frowned upon career. It was like, oh,
it wasn't a career. It was like, you do that for now, and then you work out what you want to do. And now I know I've got many friends in the industry. They work damn hard, but they're very successful. And I take my hat off to you, because anyone in your industry and what you do, there's no way I could do what you guys do on many different levels. People would walk up with one eyebrow with me. They would, like, you've got to have an artistic flair. And I really believe that's part of why, you're good at what you do, is you have an eye for detail. It's caring, but you've got to be really clever. You're looking at different shapes, different skins. People are so different. You can't do the same thing for everyone. And that's what I mean. You've got to be really clever.
Yeah, and I think this day and age as well, there's just so much information and so much treatment out there. So sometimes your client comes in and they think they're quite well educated, and sometimes they really are, but it's a whole nother level of beauty now. When I first started, it was like waxing, nails, facials, just slap on some creams. This day and age, we're taking into consideration their health, how, what are they eating? How are they sleeping? How's their digestive system operating? It's a whole nother level. So when we're working with these skins that are problematic or someone that does have a concern, we're diving pretty deep. So again, it's not like your standard beauty like my clinic. It's definitely not your eyebrow waxing and lashes and things like that. Hence why I went this way in my career. That was never my thing. And again, I take my hat off to all the girls that are doing these incredible brows and lashes, because that wasn't my jam. I wasn't good at brows. I wasn't good at lashes or whatever. But results-driven treatments using machinery was my jam, and I absolutely love it. But yeah, this day and age, it's so different to, nearly 20 years ago. You can't even compare the level of services that we're offering now.
Amazing, isn't it? And it's really scientific and technical too.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We're operating medical grade lasers that, dermatology clinics are using as well. And it's incredible. I love using machinery because it gets me the best results. But again, I think it's, you've got to have a variety of things to get your clients the best results. Education, product, trust, expectations being met. It's not just using machinery. It's not just like a magic wand. I think people need to realize that there is a whole picture to obtain incredible skin results.
In your opinion, can someone, we see things all in different ways, right? So beauty is in the eye of the beholder, but in your opinion, can you get great skin? Can you get close to perfect skin today with everything that's out there?
Define perfect, right? Everyone's so different in what their ideal skin is like. I'll be dealing with clients that they'll come in and they're in a panic and they're freaking out and they have a few spots like hormonal breakouts and they're in an absolute downward spiral. And then I'll have another girl on the other end of the spectrum, or even a male, who will be suffering with nearly a grade 3 acne. So everyone is different on what their perfection is. I don't believe that any skin is perfect. All I want to do is make you feel so comfortable in your own skin, have this beautiful, healthy, radiant skin, but nothing is perfect. Unfortunately, we live in a world of photo editing, social media, even watching the latest Kardashians, they're filtered on the TV. It's insane. So it's a different ball game now.
Thank you for bringing that up, because I think it's really important. So for someone at any age, this is why I've got you on. I'm a avid lover of beauty and skincare and always have been. And it's interesting, in my younger years, it was tainted as I was vain and you shouldn't be spending your money on all this stuff and that. And I could only do what the best I could do at the time, but I always knew there was a stigma that would come with it. Of people, again, people's judgment, right? But I'd love people out there listening today to know that there is hope. If you look in the mirror, you don't do it for anyone else, you do it for yourself. But one of the things I'd love you to have in your toolkit for self-care is you as a contact. Is this podcast, we're going to talk about a few treatments and skin issues and stuff now as we dive in. But for women or men, if anyone's listening to this, to know that if there is something with your skin that you feel really uncomfortable about, you can come and see someone like you and talk through it and get you don't have to deal with something these days that's uncomfortable. There's so many different ways of treating your skin or treating issues and stuff like that.
100%. So even though there's been a lot of negatives that have arisen in the industry, there's so many more positives as well now that there is so much help available. So even if you do just come in and have a consult and we have a chat and we nut out a few different things, or, if you just want to be heard, a lot of these girls that are coming in with issues that are skin related or even hair related, like excess hair, their doctors sometimes haven't really sat down with them and just listened. Obviously, if there's something that's happening on the skin, there's something that is reflecting internally why this is happening. And the same as with women that have, excessive hair growth. I deal with a lot of women that have polycystic ovaries, endometriosis, all these hormonal issues, but then they speak to their doctor and their doctor's brushing them off like nothing's wrong. Well, if you sit down and I have a chat with these women, then you start to ask questions, they get their trust with you, and you start to ask them about their menstrual flow and, is it painful? Is it regular? Just simple little questions that us women, we should be able to talk about. And then they start answering and it's like, well, how come your doctor hasn't taken you seriously? How come he hasn't sat down with you and nutted this out? So it can get pretty complex when we're trying to treat issues, but sometimes people just want to be heard and listened to. And then that's where I can give a lot of recommendations. Well, you could go and speak to this integrative GP. You could speak to this biomedical naturopath who will do the investigative work to find out what's going on internally within the body.
Yeah, I love that. So I just thought today we could talk about a couple of problems that some ladies may experience with their skin. And we could also talk about some of your newest treatments because I think that they're really fantastic. So when we look at skincare, is there a difference these days with back in the day, there used to be like the hair salon, you'd have home shampoo and salon shampoo, and you'd have salon grade, and I'm showing my age, salon grade products, and you'd have home products, but it wouldn't be the same makeup or
Absolutely. Compounding.
Is there still such a thing, or these days is skincare?
Look, I think it's definitely become more advanced. Saying that, anything that is sold over the counter in the supermarket, the formulations are going to be a little bit different to something where you're being prescribed from an expert. So, if you go into a supermarket and you see things with your active ingredients like your vitamin A's and your B's and your hyaluronics and things like that, yes, they're in there, but the formulations aren't what we're prescribing from like a skin therapist. So it has advanced in that respect that people they've got the availability to go to the supermarket and grab these products that do have active ingredients, but are they as active as what they're claiming? Probably not. But at least if someone is in that situation where they can only say afford supermarket skincare, there is a lot of different options. Like if you go on a Priceline now, like how many aisles of skincare is there? If you go into Mecca, like it is quite overwhelming sometimes. So, there's definitely salon quality skincare, which is obviously what we prescribe in clinic. But then there is a lot of availability in the normal supermarket and Priceline and so forth.
And that's what I'd love to talk about too, is if someone's listening to this, do you break skincare down into the individual, like we kind of do with nutrition, or do you break it down into, is it easier for us to talk about in your 20s, it's good to have a great cleanser, or in your 30s, it's great to have some eye cream, or like I'm being really general here, but is there a take home that you could share with my listeners today about aging I have listeners from 17, 18, right up until about 60. That's kind of my demographic. So it's kind of everybody.
Yes.
So is there any take home or anything that someone's listening to this in those 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, those key points? Also acknowledging that we're all different. It's just a number, and you need to obviously treat your skin as is shows today. But is there any tips or anything that you could give?
Of course. I think, the most important thing is if people get into a routine at an early age. Again, when children start to go through them signs of puberty where they're, more excess oil is occurring, just a good cleanser. Now, cleansing is actually a super important step in someone's routine. So if people are using, unfortunately, a lot of these supermarket-based cleansers, which are quite cheap, they do have a lot of foaming ingredients in them. So like your sodium lauryl sulfates, fragrances, things like this that will actually strip the barrier of the skin. So when you're stripping the barrier of the skin, unfortunately, problems can occur. So I think, in all honesty, if you're going to invest in something, a really good cleanser that doesn't contain any of these nasties like your sulfates, your parabens, your fragrances and things like that, that will disturb the skin's barrier. We want to always make sure that that barrier is intact. If that barrier is happy, then your skin will basically flow on and, things will happen like they're meant to happen. The way I like to explain it to my client is, again, with all these people that are doing too much exfoliation or these treatments that are in salon where they're dermaplaning your face, again, I don't like it. I'm going to be honest and say.
Oh, you don't like dermaplaning?
I don't like it. I think it's the way I like to explain it to my client. It's like taking the roof off your house and then going, let's just pray to God tonight that it doesn't storm, right? So when that roof is lifted, a lot of shit can occur. So I'm not a fan of dermaplaning. We want that barrier of that skin to always be intact. So too much exfoliation and too much removal or playing around with that epidermis can cause a lot of problems, and especially on skins that are problematic.
I think there might be some people that don't even know what dermaplaning is. So you just share with us what that is?
Again, I don't do it in clinic, but obviously I am aware of how they use the dermaplane and what it's meant to achieve. But it's basically like a sharp blade that's used on the skin to remove that fluffy peach fuzz that women are concerned with. Again, we all have that fluffy peach fuzz. Yes, some more than others, but unfortunately, when you start to remove that, and if you do have a problematic skin, or even if you don't have a problematic skin, if you're doing that long term, I guarantee pathogens, bacteria, and everything will start to seep in and cause problems for your beautiful skin. Hair is normal. I think we need to kind of acknowledge that, having, fluffy bits of fluff on your face is very, very normal. Of course, when it's excessive dark, thick black hair, for some women, they don't find that normal, and that's when I can come in and help them remove that with laser. But this dermaplaning craze, again, thanks to Instagram, you can go in salon and have it done, or the most scariest thing is that people can buy blades online and then do it themselves at home. So again, if they're using too much pressure, if they're not using anything on the skin, then, problems will arise. So I'm really anti those treatments.
Interesting, because I have done that a few times. So that's why I'm like, wow, I'm learning something. So what could be a different way of, it's more the peach fuzz, especially as you age, again, hormones, it's around chin, it's almost around the hormonal area. So I'm pointing down to the side of my face, underneath my chin. And like, if people do have that peach fuzz, what can we do to get rid of it? Because it does look nasty.
And this is the thing, it's a tricky one, right? Unfortunately, there's not much available for blonde hair when it comes to laser. Well, you can't laser blonde. You can't laser blonde, red, or grey hair because there is no pigment in the hair. So when we're doing hair removal, hair needs to have color for it to work. Also, when you're working with a face that has hair, laser can sometimes have the opposite effect. If that hair is not a really thick, excessive growth all over the face, and it's one or two hairs randomly placed over the face, and a clinician lasers that, it can actually sometimes stimulate growth. So this is where, again, coming down to the right clinic and operator that will be honest with you and say, I turn away clients on a weekly basis, even daily basis, for hair removal because they just want one or two, hairs removed. I will send them on to other clinics for electrolysis where it's a much more like really localized approach to that follicle. So peach fuzz is a really tricky, condition. You're basically shaving your face with dermaplaning.
Yeah.
That's what you're doing. It's a razor against your face. So is it something to just get clients in because it looks fantastic on Instagram? Could they be doing it at home themselves with a disposable razor? Like it's all questionable. It's all questionable, but it really, it's a blade and it's shaving the hair. So how is it any different to using a razor at home? Like it's exactly the same treatment. Again, I think it was Instagram that created this hype. Again, seeing the therapist use the blade against the skin, then have all the fluffy hair that's on like a little cotton pad and everyone being grossed out by it.
I find that weird too, because I've always cleansed my face and looked after my skin properly. And I did find that weird that I actually went and bought, it was a very high quality one. It wasn't still blade to blade, right? But I used proper oil, I used organic oil and did all the right things and was very careful. But I was really disappointed. And I even said to one of my girlfriends, I was like, I did have a lot of peach fuzz, especially getting into I'm 42 now. So I definitely noticed it was a bit fluffy and I was like, hell no. Oh my God. Like I can deal with the one or two black hairs that come out and pluck them. Okay, that's part of aging. Cool. We'd laugh about it. Oh my God, right? But the fuzz, and it was interesting because I did it myself and went to go, and obviously I had a little bit, but nothing. And some of these women do it every week, and what they pull off every week, I'm like, I don't know what you're doing, but how are you getting so much? Because I was really disappointed because I've done it a couple of times and I do it and it gets rid of the fluff, which isn't there too much. It's definitely for vanity for me, but
Of course.
you know, and I looked at it, and even the very first time I did it, and I was like, guts, there's like not much there. And then I was thinking,
Did you have that much hair? Was it like
it was a bit of hair, but that was it. Like, you know, you see the things on Instagram and people get a cotton pad and wipe it, and you're like, that's what's up with that. And I could probably understand the first time that someone would do it, but they do it. Obviously, they're influenced by different blade brands, and they carry them, and they gotta do my weekly or monthly dermaplaning, and they do it. And the amount of stuff that they show, I go, you're either, I don't know what you're doing.
Yeah.
I didn't get any of that. And so I was a little bit disheartened that I was like, but I took it as a good way. That I was like, okay, well,
maybe I don't have that much hair. Maybe.
Yeah, but also I don't know. They must be going quite deep to get all the other crap off this.
Yeah, that you definitely, and this is where, because they are using like those like more like stronger blades, I guess, that they are removing almost, you know, a little bit of the like that top layer of the skin as well. So again, maybe I'm not experienced with it. Like I said, I don't like it. I don't do it in clinic. But if someone is constantly using this as a method, problems with her. And people overuse things. So then, yes, they may go to the salon and have dermaplaning, but then you don't know what they're doing in between. Like you can just imagine. So many women out there are trying all these trends on Instagram, and I see these people promoting things on TikTok, and some of it is actually horrific. You know, like
an example that you can think of off the top of your head.
This chick that tattooed freckles on her face. Now she was on Big Brother, and she led to herself, you know, scarring herself with really bad post-inflammatory pigmentation. But how many young girls would have seen that and thought, oh, wow, that looks really cute. And then days later, when it turned into a huge issue, like it's too late. So then obviously she's had to spend thousands of dollars to correct the scarring that she's caused. But this is what I mean. There's so many things that are available that are online that people think, oh, wow, that looks really cool. I'm going to try that. And then next minute, you know, they have issues.
Yeah, I know back in the day it would be, I don't know how my girlfriend used to do it, but I had a couple that used to give themselves Brazilians. And this is a fun fact because you do laser hair too, and I come in for laser hair. So I just want to share a little tip. If anyone gets told this porky, and you'll laugh, but so back in the day, I had my first Brazilian when I was 30. Holy shit, still remember the first time, right? It was horrendous. And the lady did it. She was half finished, and she was, and I was like swearing like a trooper and jumping up the bed. I was like, I'm so sorry. She's like, oh, it's half done. It was red and throbbing. And she was like, oh, well, you're halfway done. Do you want me to stop? And I was like, no. And she was like, oh, a lot of girls stop halfway. And I was like, why would you stop halfway? Like, I was like, go for it. And then she said to me, Barbara, if you go every 4 weeks, it'll get better. So guess what I did I was 30, and then I did my competing when I was 35, and I moved to Australia when I was 36. So for 8 years, I'm not kidding you, 8 years, I had a Brazilian every 4 weeks. How much the hell did that cost me?
Yeah.
It hurt all the time, and I was thinking, it's going to get better. I did it for 8 years.
Wow.
And then moved here and tried sugaring, and that was almost a bit worse. And then I had a little break, and then I looked into your laser, and I was like, maybe I'm going to get laser. Oh my God, changed my life. It's the best thing ever in the world. So if anyone out there is listening to this and they get waxing of any form of removal and someone says it's going to get better, the hair's going to grow back, I'm sure it's a little bit softer or whatever, but who that lady was. But I hung on to that for 8 years thinking, oh, it's going to get better soon. Just suck it up, Barbs, you'll be fine. And I would go every 4 weeks, because if I left it for a week longer, holy shit.
Like, and see how easily influenced you were from your expert. And this is like going back to online. It's like during lockdown last year, I had so many clients message me, Kasey, what about these laser at home devices? Do they work? You know, la, la, la. Now, come on, guys. I'm operating a machine that doesn't even run off a normal PowerPoint. It's worth $160,000. you think this $1,200 home device or even cheaper is going to obtain the same results as a medical grade laser? No, but people are influenced and purchase devices or listen to people and follow through and then don't get results and then think, so they might try an at-home laser device and then think, laser hair removal doesn't work. I'm not going to go to the clinic and have laser hair removal. Or their friends have been to a clinic and they've had X amount of sessions because the machine hasn't been used correctly, or, whatever it may be. They may not even follow through with the amount of sessions or at the frequency that they're meant to come into the clinic and have treatment. But people are easily influenced. And especially during lockdown, oh my God, the amount of ads that would be targeted to like my Instagram feed and everything like that. I would see these devices and I was thinking, oh my Lord, people are really going to hurt themselves. I've seen skin needling pens being sold, and then they advertise you can target the skin up to 3 mil. And I'm thinking, oh my goodness, I don't even treat 3 mil into the face. So imagine these people that are not preparing their skin properly, putting God knows what kind of needles that aren't sterile into the face, that are treating up to 3 mil. It's just disastrous. And so a lot of that happened during lockdown. I've seen a huge shift with obviously people trying to make money, which was really bad, taking advantage of the situation. People at home trapped on their devices, looking at Instagram all day, every day, and people doing this drop shipping rubbish and selling all this crap that doesn't even work, but people buy it.
Yeah.
I have clients all the time that will come in and say, I bought one of those at-home laser devices. What rubbish? And I'm thinking, well, yeah. But
of course. I'd love to know too, at that time with lockdown, there were so many sheet masks going around, sheet masks, eye mask things. I don't buy them. But that's, to me, that, and you're the expert here, is that a bit of a marketing ploy too? Is all these sheet masks and the eye mask? I'm sure there's some ones that
there's quality, there is quality sheet masks that you can get. And again, there is actually some quality ones in Priceline. There's a lot of the Korean skincare that are really nice and natural, don't contain fragrances and sulfates and parabens and things like that. Again, then there's rubbish that you can put on your face. So again, during lockdown, I was consulting online during that time, and we seen the most inflammatory skin conditions that we've ever seen. Now, that's been well documented worldwide in a lot of, clinical papers and studies and things like that. A lot of acne issues and a lot of perioral dermatitis, which is quite a severe rash around the mouth area, again, from mask wearing, but obviously heavily based with stress. As soon as we start stress spikes, everything in the system, your gut, leaky gut, and then it's just a whirlwind of things that start to happen. So during lockdown, there was a lot of so much acne problems, so many perioral dermatitis, the most I've ever seen in my career. You'd have client after client. So it was an interesting time during lockdown, but we got through it.
Yeah, we did. But yeah, so we're so lucky to have someone like you, because this is why women do not look after themselves. They either go down the track of, and we all, some of us sometimes don't have a lot of money to spend on ourselves, and we try and and I really respect that we try and do the best that we can. And so they try and do the best that they can, and they get burnt literally, or they have a bad experience or something happens, or they can go to a clinic that charges so much, which is fine for particular treatments, which we're going to talk about in a minute. You pay for what you get, but also it's the person behind the machine, the person behind the treatment. And that's what I value the most, because sometimes you can be laying there with nothing on the bottom and they see everything. I mean, do you really want someone that you don't feel comfortable with seeing all your bits? Or it's such a vulnerable thing, and especially with acne or aging, or we're going to talk about pigmentation now. That's something that I've always suffered from too. And it's things that, why I have my business, is I share things with ladies of any age what I wish I knew. And one of the really big things was I'm really big on, like you are too with your holistic skincare, is treating the cause, not just the symptom. And so obviously I went on oral contraceptive pill, like many of us do, just to not get pregnant. That was, I'm blessed enough not to have any issues with my cycle or hormones. But so I just went on the pill for the one thing, to stop not having a kid, right? But no one ever told young Barbara that it can cause really bad pigmentation on the skin. And so I was in my late 20s when I started to develop a really deep pigment line on the top of my lip line.
Yeah.
And it was so bad that it looks like it's still there today. It still looks like lip liner. And so I went to my GP and said, I'm getting this lip line. And she said to me, gosh, you're vain, aren't you? And I went, oh, yeah, okay. I was like, at the time, I was like, oh, maybe I am. But I was like, anyway, can you look at this? And it's a really deep line that goes it started just on one top lip and then it kind of moved across. And then she said, I'll move you to a different hormonal pill. So obviously went on a different pill that screwed my body up a little bit, my moods and all that stuff. And then obviously I've always lathered sunscreen on my face all the time, my whole life, but it was still getting worse.
Yeah.
And then only 4 or 5 years ago, I came off the pill completely. It's still there. And I've been to numerous people to say, hey, can you have a look at it? Because it's hormonal and it's always going to be there. But that's one thing that I would love to share with anyone listening, that when you put something, and when I was that age, I didn't know.
Yeah.
Probably didn't care, to be honest.
Yeah.
Mainly the not knowing. I don't know what I would have done with that if someone said, hey, look, if you do this, these are what could happen. I just wasn't aware, like me listening to someone that said, do waxing for 8 years and then it'll be fine. So
I think we've all been in that position. And I think the scariest part is that, girls basically, like I think I was on the pill at quite a young age. Like I can't remember how old I was, but it was because like I had a heavy flow. But then all these side effects that come with it, whether it's skin or mental health or gut, we know how well and truly it ruins our gut health as well. Zinc deficiencies, there's so many things, the list goes on. But we use this band-aid approach way too much. And exactly like when it comes down to skin. So again, women go on the pill to help with their hormonal acne that they're getting. Let's put her on the pill at whatever age it is.
Yeah.
Let's go on Roaccutane. That's a whole nother, story, with young children. The side effects that it can cause. I've had mothers bring their children into the clinic. I remember this one lady, and she was in a panic over her daughter's skin. Now, the daughter wasn't in a panic, but the mother was. And, she had a few little spots, nothing major. And the mum's like, I'm putting her on Roaccutane. I can't handle this anymore. La, la, la. And I said to the lady, so have you actually thought about the side effects that your daughter will experience while on this medication? And she said, no. And I said, well, I think you should go home and, have a read about it or speak to your doctor. And I seen her and she come back and she said, oh, I just wanted to let you know that I went home and I had a read, and thank God I didn't put her on that. I think there's too many easy options available. And this also comes down to when I'm treating a problematic skin in clinic. People don't realize it takes a lot of hard work, like especially with acneic skins, even melasma, even this hormonal pigmentation. It is a management treatment for melasma for the rest of their life, in all honesty. But when you're treating hormonal acne, there's so many things that people need to adjust in their lifestyle to sometimes shift and help the problem. Do people want to do that? Sometimes yes, and sometimes no. It's like if you're going to see your personal trainer because you want to get fitter, healthier, maybe lose some weight. You've got to put in some hard work. If you go and do all that hard work and then go home and lay on the lounge and eat McDonald's, you're going to go one step forward, 10 steps back. And that's exactly like when I'm treating hormonal skincare. A lot of questions that I'll ask them, you can see how committed they want to be. And that's one of the questions I'll ask them is, how committed on this journey do you want to be? And then you can scale on what type of client, it's a lot of hard work. I can do all the education, all the information. I can use the best machinery, the best product. But in all honesty, if there is something that's going on internally within your system that is not right, yes, we'll get results, but we're not going to achieve the best results. So this is where having experts that I can refer to helps me get the best results. But people sometimes don't want to spend the money, or people don't have the money, or then this is where I can kind of recommend a few little things that they can try at home without seeing experts. And then some people don't even want to do any of that. So it can be difficult treating these complex skin conditions, but it takes two people to get these results, therapist and the client.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, definitely. So when we talk about pigmentation and sun damage and as we age, it's something that we can't stop the aging process. It's going to
Of
happen. And
course.
it's something that, but we can do the best we can with it. And I'd love to talk about your two new treatments. Now you're probably going to have to pronounce one of them for me, and is it Lumeka?
Lumeka, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So I obviously that's an amazing IPL therapy, is it?
Yeah, it's an intense pulse light. So it's made from InMode technologies. The results are fantastic. I'm absolutely loving it in clinic. Me and the girls have been doing way too many Lumekas because everyone is seeing all our incredible before and afters, but the results are phenomenal. So again, this can be used on, most skin types. We can't go obviously delve into the deeper and darker skin types with this particular machinery because it relies on pigment. So it's normally for skin types, say one to four skin typing. Again, the light is attracted to the pigment and the redness in the skin. So unfortunately, with photo aging and obviously living in Australia and we're exposed to so much UV, we do photo age at a normal, like a very early age than say some places in the world. So normally clients that are having Lamecca are 25 plus. Saying that, I have had a few of my acne clients do a few sessions to kind of reduce that really red inflammation that's left post breakout, and the results are phenomenal. So again, I find that sometimes I like to play around with my machinery and get the best results with certain skin conditions that aren't really talked about, to like that the machine can get results for, but I play around and we make magic happen. But Lamecca is a great treatment in the fact that it's quick, it's fast, it's very results driven, and minimal downtime. So a client will come in and have their first treatment. If they do have a lot of sun damage, what will generally happen is that light will attract to the pigment and it will shift it up. So in the next 24 to 48 hours after that first treatment, that pigment will look quite dark. And in the next 3 to 4 weeks, it will completely lighten and the skin will look transformed. So you will see a lot of the before and afters that I do post. I always like to say how many sessions that have been used to obtain those results. That can sometimes be an issue too as well, because people are like, well, she had one treatment. Why isn't, my results like that? Everyone is different and no skin's alike. Again, when it comes down to getting results, if that client's using prescribed clinical skincare versus, supermarket skincare, that will definitely change results as well. If people aren't, prepped correctly as well, there's so many different things. But again, I like to be very honest in my approach. But there's always help available for everyone. And like I said, the most important thing we can do is in Australia as prevention is sunscreen. The UV is out all the time. And I love asking that question to my clients and saying, like, so do you wear SPF? No. Okay, so they're laying on the bed and they're concerned with sun damage and pigmentation, but their first thing that they're doing is they're not wearing SPF. Well, step one, without even investing any money in treatment in clinic, invest in an SPF, something that feels good, something that you'll love to wear, because a lot of people purchase SPF and they're like, I hated it. It was too thick. It clogged my pores. It gave me acne. That's all bullshit. You just need to find something that's prescribed that feels good for your skin. That's the best investment someone can make in regards to pigmentation, melasma, anti-aging. Everyone should be using it. And one thing that I'll say to my client after they tell me they don't wear SPF is I'll ask them questions. So, okay, you may hang your clothes out, you may walk your dog, you may drop your kids off at school, drive to work. You add all that time up. It may be 5 minutes here, 10 minutes here, but over the average of the week, that's a lot of unprotected sun exposure you're exposing your skin to. And they're like, I never thought of it like that. So SPF, ladies, gentlemen, is the best thing you can do for yourself.
And also a hot tip from when I was younger, I wish I was a sales rep for many, many years driving on the road. I did wear SPF back then, even when it wasn't a thing, but no one told me to do it on the top of your hands.
100%. Neck, chest, hands, arms, just layer yourself in it. If you're exposed, any body area that's exposed should be protected with SPF.
Yeah. And before we move on to the next thing is with SPF, it's really important. I'm sure you're aware of, you see this a lot in your clinic, but I'm aware of a lot of people that are worried about it later or now because of these beautiful treatments. People aren't really worried about it and they'll get fillers, they'll get Botox, they'll get laser, they'll get needling, but they won't wear SPF. So they'll do, you know what I mean? And I'm sure it's kind of a common thing that you'll see. They'll, oh, don't worry, I'll just get it fixed with like needling next time. It's all good. I'm talking probably the more younger crowd.
Yeah, look, again, my clients are well trained that they're not saying that to me. You're not having clinical treatments with me if you're not wearing SPF. And this where it comes down to patient care and just like, you're spending all this money and investing all this time and my time and, purchasing product. And why wouldn't you want to be like doing the first step for prevention? Like you have to be wearing SPF. Again, I don't want people to be wasting their time and money on, going one step forward and 10 steps back. We just want to get the best results for everyone. And just a simple few little things that we can tweak to obtain and keep them results, like the longevity of those results. Again, people can invest in having all these beautiful Lamecca treatments and laser and needling and everything like that, like you said. But then when summer rolls around next season and they're laying down at Wollongong Beach without SPF and baking themselves, it's only ever going to come back. This is not a permanent you know what I mean? This is constant maintenance. So if you're going to then go and do the opposite of, what we've told you to do, then of course your pigmentation is going to come back. And melasma, when you talked about hormonal pigmentation, it has the best memory. So you may get it looking fantastic, but as soon as you lift that lid off, it flares up. So
yeah.
It is a savage like skin condition. And again, every woman experience it different. You're lucky in the fact that it was just on the border of your upper lip. I've dealt with women that look like they have black eyes. It's right in a big patch in the middle of their forehead, really, really severe melasma. So then women, there's a lot of treatments that we can do, a lot of products that they can use. But really, they have to be managing the problem 24/7. I mean, sunscreen, hats, polarized sunglasses. If you really want to get complex, we can get complex with it. But it has a fantastic memory. It just will literally sprout up at any time. So yes, we can get it looking a lot better, but it's always managing the problem.
Yeah, it's definitely a tough one. And a lot of women experience it with pregnancy as well. It can flare up.
Yeah, absolutely. Pregnancy, post-pregnancy, unfortunately, I do find that, we can always get it looking good. But again, how committed do they want to be? Are they going to listen? Are they going to wear their SPF every single day, rain, hail, or shine? Like this is what it really comes down to. UVA is out all the time. UVB is also out. Like it's crucial that everyone is wearing SPF.
Yeah, I have a lot of listeners in New Zealand too. So I think the ozone layer is slightly worse in New Zealand and Australia because it's right underneath it.
Yeah. And this is a thing, well, you don't feel it. You don't feel the UVA, and that's like one of the most damaging rays. So again, UVB is more like your burning ray. So our brain will register that on them days when it feels like you walk out and you're like, oh, wow, it's so nice and warm. It's hot. I can feel it on my skin. Yeah, nice. But then you go on them cooler days where, yes, the UVA is out. It's just as damaging, right? But you don't have that B ray, which is causing that nice bit of heat and that bit of sting on your skin that people think, oh, I don't need sunscreen. You need sunscreen. Yeah.
Yeah. And we've saved the best for last. This amazing new treatment that you've got in clinic too. Is it Morpheus 8?
It is called Morpheus 8. Yes.
Yeah. Can you tell us about this beautiful, exciting treatment?
Yeah, so this is a bit of a game changer in the aesthetics industry. Again, I've been following this treatment for a few years now in America, in the UK, and it was like my wish list item. I was like, I'm going to work my ass off until I get this machine. Like I'm making this happen. I need this device in my clinic to have it available to the women of the Illawarra. Morpheus is like a radio frequency microneedling treatment. It can be used on the face and the neck. It can also be used on the body as well. So there's different tips that we plug into the handpiece that can do different things. We can also use a different tip just to target under the eye area. There's a tip for like the face and the neck, and then we have the tips for the body. What it's doing is we are creating little micro insertions with the needles into the skin. When those needles are inserted into the skin, they emit radio frequency, which is energy and which creates heat. And that heat is what causes that deep dermal structure to change. Now, when we're working with skins with the Morpheus that are like for anti-aging reasons, so a lot of my women 35 plus that are starting to get concerned with, laxicity in the skin, collagen slowing down and so forth. Treatment results. Yes, you'll see minor changes initially, but they're still continuing to work for up to 6 months post-treatment. So normally we recommend, depending on the client, normally 3 sessions, and they're done at like 4 to 6 week intervals, but they're still obtaining results for a very long period of time post-treatment. So when we're dealing with women, especially like say menopausal women, do you know they lose up to, I think it's 30% of their collagen. I was just reading a document the other day. 30% of their collagen decreases over that first 5 years in menopause. So these treatments are fantastic for women, of any age, but women, when they do get menopausal, unfortunately, they can sometimes get quite depressed about the aging process because it does happen quite rapidly. Like you said before, we can't stop the aging process, but we can do things, whether it's treatment or holistically to the body, nutrition, good amount of sleep, stress levels to help us achieve, to slow it down a little bit. But Morpheus is a game changer in the fact that it is stimulating the skin at a whole nother level. And so I'm really excited to have this in clinic because it does really bridge the gap between aesthetics and surgery. But also you're getting your body to produce its own natural collagen. So a lot of women are scared of having filler and Botox, which I understand. But these treatments are game changer because we're getting your natural's body response to stimulate and work harder. Again, can be used on acneic skins as well. So our clients, so I'm kind of ticking a few boxes with this machine because I deal with a lot of problematic skins like your acne, congestion, but then also a lot of my clients are middle-aged women that are concerned with aging. So we can do acne scarring with the resurfacing tip. It's fantastic for girls or men that get really severe, like congested or really enlarged open pores. It will transform the skin. And then we can use the body tip, which is a whole other thing that we can talk about maybe later in regards to skin laxity problems on the body, if it's like post-baby or even like breast augmentation scars, cesarean scars. Heaps of different things. So we will be launching more of that in clinic very soon. We're filming a content day next week, actually. So that's very exciting. But Morpheus is an absolute game changer. Again, it's not for everyone because the price point is a little bit high. But I think when someone really wants to invest in their skin, they will always look for the best equipment or the best people to, reach out to get these results. So,
and like you said, it's the in-between between cosmetic type what would I say, like aesthetics work with you and a surgeon. So that's why it does cost a little bit more because of that skill and the machinery and what's needed to be done.
Yeah, for sure. And it's a lengthy procedure. Clients will have to come in at least 45 minutes before. We take our before and afters, we consult, and we also apply a medical numbing cream to the skin. They sit and wait for 45 minutes. And then if we're doing like a full face and neck, it takes about 40 to 45 minutes. But the results are insane. Again, I like to upload my social media with a lot of before and afters. And I'm very lucky in the respect that my clients allow for me to use their photos. Love them all. Thank you so much. But also a lot of my work, a lot of my referrals comes from word of mouth. So I don't spend any money on advertising in the clinic. Instagram is for free, obviously, but a lot of my clients is word of mouth, but also clients seeing the before and afters, that I roll out on my social media.
Yeah, which are amazing to see too, because that's really what shows us if something works or not. It's the proof.
Yeah, of course. And like I said before, it does come down to client adhering to, our recommendations as well, and expectations being met. Again, no skin is perfect. And I always like to tell, clients that are coming in, especially the young girls with problematic skin, like acne skin, that hormonal, teenage skin that we all go through, is this is just temporary. This is not a permanent thing. So don't fixate on the problem. It's the worst thing you can do, because it could just spiral out of control. Their mental health sometimes struggling quite a lot with these issues, and they get really fixated on it. We've all been there. It's all temporary. This is not a permanent thing. There's always a solution. So I feel really sorry for the young ones now. It's so different, right? Imagine if we were at school with this social media. Like, wild.
I would not have been okay with that. I know that I wouldn't have. It was hard enough without social media, and there was no, like when I went to, it's interesting because all my friends now have kids that go to school balls and stuff. And I remember at my school ball, I got my nails done, my makeup done, my hair done, and I got a tan done. And guess what? No other girls got that was like the full kit, right? And I was weird for getting that.
Yeah.
Now,
standard.
They get waxing as well. God help me if I had a teenage daughter and be like, you're not getting any waxing. But they get waxing, they get
laser.
They get, oh gosh, and they get like obviously eyelash extensions, and then the brows, and then tattooed or whatever. And then
we just went that real ugly stage, and then then we evolved. Yeah. But these young girls now, they're like, wow, girl. Like,
yeah.
I didn't look like that at 13.
I think I was from like 12 to 17. I was like in that bit where I look at my photos and I'm like, oh God.
It's crazy, anyway, right?
Yeah. So let's wrap up on, is there anything that you've got one piece, I know this is a bit, we've talked about so much today, but have you got one piece of advice or one golden nugget or just something that you would like to just share with anyone listening today?
Yeah, well, I think we touched on, us being realistic with our skin goals. I think, again, no one is perfect. Skin health varies from person to person. Again, just don't get fixated on these unrealistic goals. Don't look at social media. Everyone's images are completely retouched, especially when it comes to celebrities and influencers. And it's horrible in the fact that people think that that's the new norm. Skin shouldn't have any flaws. Trust me, it does. People have pores, people have lines, people have pigmentation. It's skin, and it's absolutely normal, but we just don't see enough of normal skin to think that it is actually normal. The best skincare advice that I could give to someone, it'd have to be SPF. Like, this is where all our problems mostly stem from. Is UV exposure. So again, invest in a really good quality SPF that feels good and that you love, because that will be your best friend. That will save you a lot of money. Prevention is better than cure. And then again, people that are, experiencing any other skin related issues, it's like, sit down and chat with an expert, whether it's someone like a really good female doctor or a hormone specialist or integrative GP or someone that just wants to listen. I think as soon as, someone listens to your concerns, and that's when problems will be solved.
Yeah, I like that. And don't feel like you have to go for the bare skin glazed donut look. That's very, you know what I mean? Like, as we spoke about before, wrapping up about the bare skin, that's the best way I could describe it. Bare skin, glazed donut look face, that you just have to be perfection all the time. And ladies, it is not real. And when you see people on TV, it's who are 50 years old and look like that they haven't aged from 20. You may know who I'm talking about.
It all comes down to as well, these people that are in these roles, especially like, the entertainment industry, they have the best of everything. They have personal trainers, they have nutritionists, they have skin experts on hand, they have people throwing them product left, right, and center. They have the best dermatologists, the best plastic surgeons. Like, it's a whole package. We don't have that.
They make their money from that, though. That's how they make their money, is from how they look.
Absolutely. And I think as well, people don't realize is it's easy to get caught up in like, oh, why don't I look like that? Or,
Yeah. Yeah,
it,
it is. It is when you see it over and over again. But I would just, if people want to, they've listened to this podcast today and they want to know more about you or your business or booking for a consult, where can they find you?
I'm always here. I love a good chat. You can reach out on Instagram, Laser Cosmetica, or my email, which is hello@lcwollongong.com.au. But yeah, feel free to contact me. I'd love to help anyone if I can. I'm always here. And yeah, I love a bit of a hard case to get really good results as well.
Yeah, and even if it's for skincare or anything to do with that, anything, it doesn't have to be obviously the machine type treatments or laser hair removal. It could just be, hey, I'm wanting to use a skincare. What do you think? Or I'm
Absolutely.
doing this now, and just
I
to
love giving recommendations, and just to help people. Like I genuinely think that's my point of difference in my clinic is that I genuinely care. I really want the best for my client. I really want them to get the best results. And I'm just not, it's not about money and people coming in and out. It really is. I genuinely care. And I just really want to help women feel their best.
And we've all been to a place. There's many places out there that when I first moved to Australia, I'll just quickly wrap this up. When I first moved to Australia, I went for a consult. What was it for? Oh, it was right. To get some spider veins and stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
I went to a clinic in Australia, like when I first moved here, I was here for about a week and I walked in and there would have been about 8 girls standing at the counter with their lips like I walked in and A, I felt really old, and B, I walked in and I was like, what's everyone got their lips like? I was just like, holy shit, they're so plastic, massive lips. And literally I walked in, they talked about the treatment and they said, you need to buy this, this, and this with it. You need to have this and this. Like it was definitely a sales conveyor belt and it just put me off. And I love how you said, obviously it's a business. When we own a business, sure, we're here to make money.
Of course.
Yeah, but
At the end of the day, I genuinely think my vibe attracts the right type of clientele. If I am working in a business like that, you're only going to attract clients that aren't going to be loyal and, blah, blah, blah. But honestly, I think I really attract the right type of people because my approach is very honest.
yeah.
I don't sugarcoat anything. I don't bullshit. What you see is what you get. Is this going to be the best option for me? Yes or no? Like I genuinely feel like that whole flow and that energy is a powerful thing. And I feel lucky enough that that's the type of clientele that I attract, that they really want to, they want to commit, they want to listen, and they already have that trust with me because they know, or they've been told from their friend that she's not going to tell you bullshit. She's not going to sell you bullshit. And I'm not. I genuinely just want to get the best results for the best, the shortest amount of time or the most cost-effective way, or yeah.
You're doing it for the right reasons. Well, thank you so
Absolutely.
much. Honestly, thank you so much for taking the time to speak to me today, to do this podcast, to put some light on something that, especially when it comes to looking after ourselves, we don't know enough, or there's just too much out there that we just go, oh, I don't know what's real. I don't know what's a myth. And thank you for just shining light on how we can care for ourselves and care for our skin and feel more comfortable with who we are.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we all need to just feel comfortable. And look, again, when you're young, it's hard, but I feel like I know myself, as I've aged, I definitely feel so much more comfortable. So much more comfortable. And it's a beautiful thing. And I wish that I could, and I try and, put this into my daughter already at 10 years old, is just love yourself. Like it's okay, like to love yourself and to be happy with how you look in your body. I think that's so important. And, it was only in my 30s that I started to realize, like, I don't care about my cellulite. I don't care about this anymore. I used to do surgery and all this rubbish. And then what for? Like, it's crazy. I wish that I had them tools that I've got now for my younger self.
Yeah, but it's cool because you're breaking the cycle. You're passing it on to your daughter. Look at the amazing work that you're doing. Is your rippling effect across like the area that we live in is just so. That's why I had to have you on. It's just like, it's beautiful because sometimes I don't know if you actually know the effect that you have on women and the rippling effect that you've got of changing the beauty standards. There's there's nothing wrong with wanting to look good and feel good and be amazing.
Of course.
I'm a really big believer in women wanting to feel beautiful and sexy and whatever it takes, whatever's important to you. There's that fine line between that and ingraining in to really love yourself, because you can get everything done, especially these days, you can get whatever done.
Yeah.
And if you're not in
genuinely happy with yourself,
no.
it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
So it's nice to, make people, feel that different level of something.
Yeah. Thank you so much for sharing everything. And we are going to have you back on again to talk more in depth on all these beautiful machines and stuff that you have in clinic. But thank you so much, Kasey, for joining me today.
Thanks so much.
Thank you so much for listening. I hope you enjoyed today's episode and it has inspired you on your self-care journey. Please feel free to share this with a friend and subscribe over on Apple Podcast. I really love hearing your feedback. So guys, please feel free to write a review on Apple and let me know which part of this episode resonated with you the most. To fall in love with yourself is the first secret to happiness. To find out a bit more about Self-Care Studio or the Studio Chat podcast, head over to my Instagram page, self_care_studio, or on my website, selfcarebybarbarathomson.com.au. Really look forward to seeing you on the next episode. Look after you, and I'll catch you soon. Bye!